favorite techified girl. And so a topic today is 10 tips on how you get into tech. If you're curious, you want to get into tech, you want to get into the big top companies, Fortune 500, the big four. 10 tips, guys. You're changing careers. There's certain things you have to start doing if you want to get into tech. You can do it. You just have to be strategic. So the 10 tips on how you get into tech. First, or you're already a graduate, or you didn't even go to university. There's always different routes or routes into tech. You just need to know what to do and get the right people working with you to get into your end goal. Right. So one of the first things I always say to people in terms of tips on how you get into tech is, first off, remove the thought of tech being this huge minefield that you can't get into. Essentially, don't be intimidated by working in tech. The information technology field is essentially an area where different, diverse, skilled efforts are put together to provide service, innovative service to industries, right? So start working on your understanding that tech is not a minefield. There are so many areas you can get into tech that can be your starting point to get to an area where you want to diversify or want to broaden your understanding, knowledge, skills, which is great. So first thing I always say to be intimidated by tech is just think about a computer. Everything that makes the computer work, the messages you send on the computer and it returns a result. That is what computer science is. The information technology bits is everything that makes that work. The maintenance, the outside layer of it. So the actual container of the computer is what I term information technology. So it's multi-diverse and it can be any role. There's so many roles in tech: full stack developer, machine learning, again, cybersecurity, solution architect, technology architect, cloud architect, if you like things like software architect, blockchain engineer, data engineer, web developer, UX designer, product manager, and so many more. There's tech. The tech world is one that you can go in and thrive. You just need to think about what your soft skills are, what your strengths are to start that journey. So first, like I said, demystify it in your head. The tech field is not a minefield. You can get into it. You just need to understand the right steps to take to get into tech, right? So don't be intimidated by it at all. It's not a minefield. The second is, which flows into what I've just talked about, is, having an open mind. You have to have an open mind if you're going to go into tech. Like I just talked about the different skilled roles that we have in tech. There's so many of it. And I just mentioned just a few, right? You need to have an open mind. You have to start from somewhere, have an open mind. What is the current skill set you have now? What are your strengths? Think about what you do best. Are you a good talker? Do you like to manage people? Or are you a quiet one who likes to think through complexities and do your thing? Or are you one that likes to look that is hybrid? You're a good talker and also likes to think through complex things. When you think about what your strengths are, it starts to give you an understanding of an area that you might do well in. And that's why I said, think about your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your strengths? You have soft skills, you have practical skills. What are your strengths? When you understand what your strengths are, it enables you take an approach to further harness your skill. So you need to think about the skills, your current skills. Everyone has one. Every human being has a skill. There's something you're good at. There's something you're good at. Are you a strict person? You like things done in, in a timely fashion. Very timely. You're very strict with deadlines. You like planning. You like organizing. If you're that person, then you just might be good at project management, right? Making sure that things work according to plan, scope, and agreed timelines. Or are you the type that likes to think through things and build things? It might just be programming. Software engineering might be your skill set. So thinking through things, keeping an open mind is very. The good thing I like about tech is so diversified and it's an ever-changing landscape. It doesn't stop. That it's good to start from where you are and then you build up on it. And that's very important. The third point we'll look into is you need to be prepared to start applying for roles, right? And when I mean by preparing to start applying for roles, it means you have to start getting your mind open to connections, to learning how to prep your CVs, learning how to prep for interviews, understanding the area you need to go to, what is required of you. What do you need to learn? Do you need to have some practical skills? Do you need to have some theoretical skills? Do you need to have certifications that propel you? And if you're going into uni, is that area or skill set one that already is offered by the university of your choice? The fourth point is you need to start learning how to refine your interview pitches, be authentic. So in all of this, before you get to the interview stages and all of that, I'll take you back a little bit. Before you get to the stage where you're thinking about being authentic in interviews and all of that, I think the first thing you need to think about as part of all that is your CV. What does the CV say about you? I always say to people that your CV for me is a mirror about you. 2 minutes that talks about you. I pick up your CV and in 5 seconds I can tell who you are. Your CV is literally you. It just tells what your strengths are, what your roles and responsibilities are, what your achievements are, and where you've had them. If you have any degrees, knowing what your job description is very important. And being yourself in your interviews is also very important. And when I say being yourself, it means using real life experiences, your past roles, what you've done there, the things you were doing as your roles. You can transfer those skills into the intended role. And those are things that interviews, giving the interviewer the need to want to see you again. I say that again. When you leave your interviews, make sure you leave the interviewer with the need to want to see you again. And I mean, again, in the organization. Okay? Let them know you'll be delivering optimum service. You're leaving an impact with your skills. And always remember that every skill is transferable. So there are techniques, making sure you're selling to them that you're the right fit for the organization, you're the right fit for that team, you're the right fit for that role. Yeah, it's very important. Using the STAR approach: situation, task, action, results. Very important. It helps you narrow down how you answer your questions. Again, we're not going into it. The only way you can do that is by prepping, and more prepping. Never going to an interview not understanding anything about the organization, what makes them tick, why a role is important, what you think you'll be achieving there, why you see yourself in a few years, and the impact you'll be making. Very important as well. Very, very important. So, point is refine your core pitch. I know I've sort of mentioned in it all the points I've mentioned earlier, but it's good to refine your core pitch. And when I say refine your core pitch, is who are you in one sentence or in two, three sentences? What can you deliver? I say to people, at some point you become a brand, right? So when I say refine your core pitch, so refining your core pitch is our fifth point. So we've talked about not being intimidated by tech, right? We've talked about that. Keeping an open mind. We've talked about that. Being prepared to apply, right? Updating your CV to reflect your current role or the roles you're going after. Being authentic in interviews, and then refining your core pitch. How do you develop your industry knowledge? Do you need certifications? Do you need to do online training? Do you need to invest time to gain knowledge, information, to gain as knowledge? And how do you go about it? Do you need classroom training? Do you need to leverage resources online? And this is where I start to think about mentors as well, because it's very important. People who have been there, have years of experience under their belt, who can walk you through the process. This is also where coaching comes in. People offer those kind of services as well, who train others to get into tech. This is also where you as the individual will become very proactive in soaking up information, both online and otherwise. And if you are already thinking, if you are about to go into school, again, like I say, it's important to think about what you're doing. Do you want to, at some point, intern in a firm for a couple of months like they do now, I think in your third year, to sort of get a feel for what you're thinking of doing after uni? Those are the kind of things you need to think about. Those are the kind of things you need to think about. And it's very important. So developing your industry knowledge is key, because you can't give what you don't have, right? So in as much as you refine your CV, you refine your pitch, you sell yourself to me, in that time, one of the things you'll be doing is also making sure that tech trends, technology advancements, services, new trends, those things are very important. So you need to be up on your game. I always recommend, keeping an eye online and reading through resources, white papers, Gartner reports. All those things help to sort of start giving you an understanding of what the trends are, where the industry is going to, and making sure you refine it to your specific role. So your research must be role specific based. Okay, so it must be role specific based. It's very important, and that way you start to develop your industry knowledge. But you can't do all this on your own, especially when you haven't had any connection with tech. You've never worked in tech. It can be overwhelming. I get that. And again, that is where you start to think about mentors, you start to think about coaching, you start to think about learning. You must invest in yourself. That is very important. You must invest in yourself. And what does it mean to you? You always will ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? What are my outcomes? What are my goals? And that is a good propeller for you to do what must be done to achieve your goal. Okay, so developing your industry knowledge is very important. And I just talked about it a little bit. So the seventh point is about seeking out people who will advocate for you, whether it's during job applications or during your interviews. It could be mentors, it could be people that you connect with on social media platforms like your LinkedIn. It could be places you've interned in. It could be your previous role, people that can, advocate and provide sort of support to you based on your work pattern and how you've been able to impact both in your role and as a team member and collaborating, etc., etc. Right? If you are even currently working and thinking of transitioning to tech, that's so important, because even in the workplace where you work, I'm sure there's an IT department. It could just be that there'll be someone that can advocate you, your senior leadership, someone in the senior leadership team that can advocate for you to go and body and shadow and do things that can start exposing you to tech. Never think that it's something that is undoable. You can, be in your current role, but thinking of going to tech and wanting to see how that feels, wanting to have a feel of life, real life situations and how it's managed. And you can shadow body and be a part of supporting your tech team, and that way you start to see how things are done and why things are done the way they are done. Well, we have governance policies and all of that that sort of rein us in on how we work with and develop capabilities for that. So it's very, very important. The eighth one I cannot emphasize is so important. Network, 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 and network. Your LinkedIn. I always tell everyone who comes to me first is, my first question is always, how's your LinkedIn? Your LinkedIn is, it's I can't even emphasize what LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool that people sometimes miss the opportunities that it has, both for job hunting and for showcasing your brand or your skill set. Because like I said to you earlier, it's so important that you are visible in LinkedIn, you collaborate, you engage, and people start to get to know who you are. It's so important. It's so important. So you need to make sure that your LinkedIn is put together just right. It's not overdone. It's straight to the point. It's precise. Your profile is precise. And if you are job hunting, you have to make your banner clear there that you are available for job seeking and you are job seeking. It's so important. So make sure that you're networking the right way, networking with the right people, speak to your mentors and get advice on how you can do that. But stay active on LinkedIn. Because it's such a great place to expose yourself and get into opportunities as well. Yeah. The ninth one will be utilizing all available support from, career coaching, online mentoring, training, etc. So all our points are sort of flowing, even though I'm talking about it and then telling you it's a point. So you can see that they're all together. Yeah. So you have to utilize every and all available opportunities that you have to transition into tech. It's not going to be one that you do in isolation, and it's not one that you can do on, you can't do it on your own. So you need the support. You need all the support you can get, because it is a competitive field, right? So you need to think about people who have years of experience under their belt. When you're thinking about applying, you don't know who's applying for the role. So you need to make sure that you've given yourself the best landing for that role as you can, so that once you're done, you can look back and say, yeah, I did everything I could do. And never put your head down, because it's a process. It's a competitive area, but once you're in, you're in. Okay? No experience is void. I always say every skill you've acquired through your lifetime, both soft skills and technical skills, they all come together to become this amazing thing you sell as part of your profile, right? They're tangible. well, they're intangible, but I kind of see them as tangible because you can transition or transfer them into any role, right? They're non-tangible skills that are somewhat tangible. Let's just say it like that. So yeah, utilize all available support you get from all the sources that are positive. And then you have to stay positive as well because it's a journey, right? It's not a race, it's a journey. So you need to keep your head up high, keep going, keep going, keep going because you get there. Okay? So it's so important that you stay positive all through this. And the 10th point is you have to seek internship opportunities. I've talked about that previously, so I've been talking about all my points sort of in together because they're so intricate. But you have to seek internship opportunities, graduate schemes if you are coming out of university, internship if you're still, say, in your second year and you want to take a gap year to do that, buddying if you're in a job but want to go into tech. You could go body people or a particular skill or department the IT department of your organization, and this will all help to give you experience and make you stand out through the process of getting into tech. Because one thing I know is theoretical information is never the same as real life experiences, right? The theoretical aspect gives you the knowledge to help you go through the process. But when you all have the opportunity to get the practical skills, it gives you a lot of confidence that makes you outstanding in your interviews. And that's where, as well, I advise people, online coaching is good because they come with real life scenarios, examples, things that sort of shape your mind to what to expect and what you will need to be doing in those instances and situations. So it's always good that you seek these opportunities to broaden your horizon, broaden your mind, get your hands dirty, like I like to call it, throw yourself in the deep end. But it shapes you better and it gives you a whole lot of confidence boost for what is ahead of you. And that's essentially my 10 points of how you get into tech. So, a recap, the 10 points are: never get intimidated. You can get into tech. It's not a minefield. Everyone can get into it. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Be prepared to start applying early. Work on your CV. Reflect what needs to showcase who you are. Sell yourself essentially. Be authentic in your interviews. Refine your core pitch. Who are you? In 2 sentences, 3 sentences. Develop your industry knowledge. What would you have to learn and be skilled at? So definitely developing your industry knowledge is very important. Seeking others seeking out and gaining people who can trust you and are happy to advocate for you in interviews, in job application, admissions, all of that kind of stuff, depending on whether you're going into uni or halfway in uni or transitioning from a current skill into tech. All of that sort of counts into that. And then networking. And I link that to your LinkedIn. It's so important that you go back and look at your LinkedIn. What does it say about you? Job recruiters always go to LinkedIn first. And job recruiters are constantly on LinkedIn looking for resources. So think about what your LinkedIn looks like. It's so important that you think about that and refine your LinkedIn to be within the guidelines of someone who thinks about going into tech. Okay? And of course, utilizing all available support to enhance your skill set, from online mentoring to career coaching, training, all of that sort of stuff, to enhance your skill. And then seek internship opportunities, graduate schemes, studying, etc., to gain experience and stand out. I hope the 10 tips that I've sort of put together from a whole lot of tips, just summarize this 10 to talk to you about, has sort of given you an idea of what you need to be thinking about on how you can get into tech. And I know I've been hoping that it's provided you with value that can help you on your next steps to the world of tech. Like, it's ever evolving, new skilled roles are coming out. There's always something new, that is an enabler. There's a capability that people who can go into, so it's never saturated. And you could be that next tech person. So I will see you next time